college football. We've been talking about the Big Ten. Their media day is underway in Indianapolis. Georgia and Ohio State, as we speak, share the best odds to win the national championship. Both are plus 325 at ESPN Bet. We had Ohio State's coach Ryan Day with us live yesterday, and this is what he said about those lofty expectations.
Every time, I've gone into a season at Ohio State, I guess this is going to be my 8th season now. 6 is the head coach. You expect to win every game. That's just what it is. And if you don't think that's the case, try losing a game at Ohio State. I mean, you're expected to win them all.
He has lost extraordinarily few, quite frankly, except for those 3 against Michigan the last few years that everyone always talks about. There's Paul Finebaum. There's Heather Dinich, who was with us in Indianapolis covering Big Ten Media Days. Heather, which Big Ten program do you think has the most at stake this season?
Without a doubt, it's Ohio State. They were the story yesterday. They are the story here. You guys should have seen the crowd of reporters around Ryan Day when he went to the podium back here and talked candidly about the pressure and expectations facing his program. They cannot lose to Michigan a 4th straight time, period. But if by some chance they do, he has to win the national title, which is 4 straight games after that, 17 total games. And if he doesn't, then I think the conversations about his job get real.
All right, so pressure there. Paul, which program do you think in that conference is under the most pressure?
Southern Cal, because of the fact that they are the biggest name in that part of the country. They're heading into the Big Ten. Greeny, and they're coming off of with Lincoln Riley coming up. How about a disappointing season? How about a terrible season? And he has to do something about it. He can't just show up today and talk about, well, we made mistakes last year. We lost a couple of close games. He has to lay out a blueprint. So I think in some ways he has. He's gone out and gotten a new defensive coordinator, but that's seemingly an every year or every couple of years thing for Lincoln Riley. But he has to put his stamp on this new league, because this is the same man, in my opinion, after being in Norman a couple of times this year, that ran away from the SEC. Now he ends up having a league of the same ilk, and he has to deal with it, and he's not dealing with it from a position of strength, having lost Caleb Williams last year.
Yeah, it was coming off a bad season. And again, Lincoln Riley will join us live in our second hour this morning on Get Up. Heather, what are realistic options for USC in their first season in the Big Ten?
Greeny, ESPN Analytics gives them just a 3% chance to win the Big Ten. That's 5th behind Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, and Michigan. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that, as Paul pointed out, they have no Caleb Williams. But then you go to Miller Moss. He has 1 career start, but it was a heck of a good one. 6 touchdowns to 1 interception in that Holiday Bowl against Louisville. And as he mentioned, a new defensive coordinator in Danton Lynn. And that is the Achilles heel under Lincoln Riley. That's no secret there. But they have a schedule tailor-made to impress the selection committee. Season opener against LSU at Michigan. And guys, don't forget that end of the season rivalry against Notre Dame. That's huge, especially with realignment and everything moving, to keep that intact. That's playoff implications for both of those teams, possibly.
Absolutely. And we don't know yet, and I suppose we won't until we get at least halfway, if not more, through the season. Paul, how many losses are going to become disqualifying, right? We've always lived in a world where a second loss basically meant your chances were over. Our two-loss teams are certainly going to get in. Our 3-loss teams are going to get in. We're going to have to wait and find this stuff out. But Michigan, Heather just mentioned Michigan, Paul. I mean, should this be realistically described as a rebuilding year for Michigan?
I don't think so, Greeny. I think they have, on the defensive side, a good enough team to be a playoff team. I think the schedule is not their friend, so they're going to have to pull an upset. The second week of the season, Texas comes in there, and everybody knows we spent last week talking about Sarkisian and Texas. That's a game they probably need to win to get far along, because there's a couple of games they're not going to win. So I think for Michigan, they're 10-2 will get them in, 9-3, and it's going to be a long Saturday night on Selection Sunday weekend.
All right, we will have, again, as I mentioned, Lincoln Riley coming up. I still have to get my head around it. Lincoln Riley of USC now in the Big Ten Conference. Heather is there. Paul, outstanding. Guys, we'll check in with you again.
something.